بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
My name is Joshua and I'm 19 years old and I reverted to Islam 2 years ago, alhamdulillah.
Did you know if you teach a revert like me how to pray salah,
you get the reward every single time I pray?
Every time I wake up for Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Isha.
You get the reward.
But have you ever thought about who teaches a revert's children how to pray?
The reverts, of course.
And you keep getting the reward for generations.
Donate now and help 10 reverts.
Learn salah for just £100.
Assalamu alaikum brothers and sisters. If you're watching this video and it's salah time, please pause it and go pray and come back when you're done. Please check out the description section of this video to support the channel and to donate to Salah Plus so we can help reverts learn how to pray this Ramadan. Just when we thought the scale of Israel's war crimes couldn't get any more deprived, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu waited until the first day of Ramadan to weaponize starvation by blocking all foreign aid going into Gaza, which is yet another blatant war crime to add to the list of his violations of international law. This guy truly is the devil. In a sacred religious month during a supposed ceasefire, he goes out of his way to further starve already malnourished Palestinian civilians and children, making it difficult for them to even open their fast during this holy month. Here's a clip of him boasting about it.
I want to thank President Trump for his unwavering support for Israel. During my recent visit to Washington, I said that Donald Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And President Trump shows that friendship each and every day. He has shown it through his visionary plan for Gaza. This is a plan which Israel fully supports. He's shown it by sending us all the munitions that were being held up. This way, he's giving Israel the tools we need to finish the job. Israel has accepted President Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff's plan to extend the temporary ceasefire by 50 days. Hamas had also put forward positions for a permanent ceasefire that are totally unacceptable. Israel has decided to stop letting goods and supplies into Gaza. We've done that because Hamas steals the supplies and prevents the people of Gaza from getting them. And throughout this, Israel knows that America and President Trump have our back.
As you saw, Netanyahu credited his whipping boy Donald Trump for funding the Zionist entity to finish the job, in Netanyahu's words. In fact, the Trump administration, which took office on 20th January 2025, has approved nearly $12 billion in military aid to Israel. Wanted international war criminal Netanyahu also approved of Trump's proposed ethnic cleansing plan for Gaza on behalf of Israel, of course. Netanyahu, with shameless audacity, also explicitly said the current ceasefire deal with Palestine is temporary and that he rejected a deal for a permanent ceasefire that was proposed by the Palestinian Authority. It looks like Israel, who still have troops stationed in Gaza, will continue the genocide after phase 1 of the ceasefire agreement because, as Netanyahu claimed, the US have proposed to extend phase 1 as entering into phase 2 would mean all Israeli troops would have to leave Palestine. And from Netanyahu's rejection of a permanent ceasefire, it looks like phase 2 is unlikely to happen. Netanyahu also blamed Hamas as usual for his own decision to block all aid and supplies from entering Gaza during Ramadan. He also claimed that he has the full support of Donald Trump and the US government in committing the cruel and deprived war crime of starvation of non-combatant citizens. Let's watch the next clip where American economist Jeffrey Sachs explains to Piers Morgan about the pattern of Netanyahu's criminality.
For Israel, this is standard fare. Overthrow governments in the neighborhood, expand the war, draw the United States in, and the US is always available at Israel's behest to play games and expand wars. And that's what we're seeing right now. It's really fascinating to go back. It starts in 1996 with Netanyahu. He says, you know, there's Hamas, there's Hezbollah, they oppose Israel. It's not good for us to fight them directly. That won't work. What we need to do is topple the governments that back them. So what we need is regime change throughout the Middle East. And he actually gave a long list of 7 countries that included Syria, Libya, Iraq, Iran, Somalia, Sudan, and Lebanon. And systematically, the United States has done Netanyahu's bidding for almost 30 years now, going to war with every one of them, except for the big one that Netanyahu so much longs for, which is the war directly between the United States and Iran. It's interesting, Piers, to go back to 2002 this is after 9/11, of course, to watch Netanyahu as being the lead cheerleader for the U.S. to overthrow Saddam Hussein. Now we have a treasure trove of documents coming out that this was really a war on Israel's behalf. Everything about the weapons of mass destruction was phony, known to be phony inside the U.S. government, but this was the argument that was given, and Netanyahu was there in Washington telling him it'll be just great if you take out Saddam Hussein. It's going to topple all the rest of the governments. What we're watching is this crazy Netanyahu idea of regional war so that Israel can have its greater Israel, as they call it. In other words, everything is to stop the Palestinian cause, and the U.S. keeps being involved in these wars, and this is again for the Israel lobby.
As Professor Sachs said, war crimes against neighbouring nations in the Middle East are standard practice for Israel in order to achieve the criminal objective of illegal expansion of their borders. Jeffrey Sachs also expressed concern at how the US is consistently involved in fighting wars on Israel's behalf to achieve the Israeli government's evil goal of land theft, because the American political structure is ruled by Israeli lobbies and hence do as they're told. Mr. Sachs took it back to 1996 and 2002, saying Netanyahu manipulated and strong-armed the US into invading numerous countries in the Middle East, a pattern of waging endless wars without an actual valid reason for conflict that has lasted for nearly 30 years now at the cost of millions of innocent people's lives. Professor Sachs also expressed contempt at the fact that America have done Netanyahu's bidding to create Greater Israel at the expense of the Palestinian people through genocide and the building of illegal settlements. Let's look at the next clip.
You're blaming Israel for all of it, and fine, that's your view. Many people would say, no, it's going
I'm blaming Netanyahu in particular.
Right, and that's very clear. But America, they would say, look, we've been actively engaged in a lot of regime change and attempted regime change in that region for a specific reason. These countries are being run by malevolent dictators who have a hatred of the United States, and it's in our self-interest. Never mind anybody else's. I mean, could the two things be true at the same time? Yes, it suits Netanyahu and his bigger view of the region. I'm sure that's true. But it could also be absolutely in their belief, in America's interests to do this. I mean, I don't agree with them, but could it be that is a genuine belief on their part?
I agree with you that it's absurd because what has it gotten us? $7 trillion of war spending, massive debts, and chaos throughout the Middle East, from Libya, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon. It's complete bloodbath for more than 25 years now. And so it doesn't accomplish anything. I think it's extremely naive, and I think it's extremely wrong-headed. And I blame Netanyahu for it. He spelled it out. It's his strategy. We've tried it. We've done what he said. We're doing it today again.
I wanted to ask you, the ICC has issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu. Do you support that?
Of course.
But France's top appeals court...
I wish that some American presidents were on that list.
Right, and many would agree with you.
I support the ICC and the ICJ, and I believe that we should try to make international law work, because we're very close to global self-destruction. So I would like international law to work. When the ICC threatened that it would indict Netanyahu, we had half the Senate up in arms. We're going to sanction these judges. We're going to end the court. We're going to penalize them. No, we should have international law working properly. This would make a much more peaceful world, actually.
Even Piers Morgan, in his attempt to save face for America by implying their actions in the Middle East may have been warranted out of dealing with potential threats, could not excuse what the US have done in the region over the last few decades, nor could Piers deny the Israeli Prime Minister benefiting from this oppression and injustice. Jeffrey Sachs quite rightly put all the blame on Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. Mr. Sachs detailed the detrimental effects on the US for backing the Zionist entity, that being trillions of dollars of debt and decades of bloody wars that continue to this very day. Like myself and billions of other people around the world, Jeffrey Sachs supports the International Criminal Court issuing warrants for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu for committing war crimes. Mr. Sachs correctly pointed out that some American presidents should also have warrants issued for their arrest for literally aiding Israel in committing genocide. He's referring, of course, to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, who are just as complicit in violating international law through arming and funding Israel. As Professor Sachs said, international legal bodies like the ICC and the ICJ should be respected and their decisions should be abided by because their purpose is to regulate world peace. However, despite this objective of global harmony, their authority is undermined by Israeli and American politicians, who in Netanyahu's case not only completely overruled the decisions made by the ICC and the ICJ, but also made various threats to them in the process. It takes a malicious kind of evil beyond comprehension to starve a population during a month of religious worship, and to do this to people, and especially children who are barely surviving a genocide with the aim of taking away the only thing they have left, and that's their hope, is disgustingly malevolent. Please keep the Palestinians in your prayers this Ramadan as always, and give what you can to help them, and be grateful for what you have, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with food, water, shelter, security and family. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join my free Telegram group via the link in the description, where we as Muslims can speak freely and without censorship about issues like this. And remember to like, subscribe and become a channel member for access to exclusive content. Until next time, inshallah, Jazakallah khair.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allah